Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and of course we'll bring you up to speed with latest happening around the world of sports. It's been interesting development where Nigeria has been continuing to win in basketball, a badminton championship, and talking about Nigeria's progress, we equally know that Nigeria is now beginning to win tournaments in cricket as well. But now let's take a look at basketball. On basketball, the NBA is heating up after very early starts in the NBA for 2024-2025 basketball season. Oklahoma City Thunders continue to show why they are called the Thunders. They took out Atlanta Hawks in a game played in the early hours of this morning by 128 points to 104 points scored by Atlanta Hawks. OKC, did I say OTC, doing so well?
Yeah, OTC, very impressive display last night for him. And Thunders, they actually thundered against their opponent. Very massive victory for them, 128 to 104 points. But the point disparity, 24, that is very massive. That is to tell you how...
They won all the 4 quarters?
Yes, that is to tell you how clinical they were, especially attacking-wise as well. So for me, I think it's a very big one for them. Don't also forget in their match, their first day game as well, they also won. So for me, let's hope that they are going to keep up with this form going forward. Let's
hope that Atlanta Hawks will improve as well, because they were blown away completely there by Oklahoma City Thunders. Let's look at one of the other games we equally have there. But it's too early in the season to say. The Thunders, they've taken out 2 games. They've won 2. Do you see them getting too strong for the opponents?
I think it is too early call to make right now. There are some teams that have actually played 3 games as well. Boston Celtics, they've actually played 3. Los Angeles Lakers played 3 and won all 3. So for me, I think for Oklahoma City Thunder, it is early call to make. We still have other big name teams out that I'll be hoping to dethrone Boston Celtics from the championship this time around. We talk about last season surprise, runner package. You're talking about Dallas Mavericks as well. Then you talk about the 2023, winner. Talking about Denver Nuggets also in the mix. Los Angeles Lakers also in the mix. So for me, these are some of the big name things that we need to watch out for. This season for Thunders, maybe if they continue with this their impressive display, maybe we will say there will maybe a title contender, but then we still have lots and lots of games. Don't forget, it's about 82 games, and we go down and we just played 3 or 2 of those games, so there's still a lot to come from NBA.
Talking about a lot of games to come from the NBA, in the early hours of this morning at the Chase Center, we saw LA Clippers traveled to the Golden State Warriors and took them out. 112 points to 104 scored by the Golden State Warriors. Warriors losing at home.
Yeah, not surprised, because Clippers, they actually clipped away the wing of the Golden State out there. But last season as well, they started on an impressive note, but when the jungle matured, they actually frizzled away. So let's hope there is not going to be another pan in the flesh, going forward.
Golden State Warriors losing at home. They really have to buckle up. We want to see them back to winning ways. A lot of expectation was placed on them last season. They didn't, and I'm not too sure they do like the way they are starting the 2024-2025 basketball season in the NBA. More games will come your way. Of course, we'll take a review of those games on our program Sports Extraordinary at 6 p.m. Nigerian time. Meanwhile, now let's get to football, and we'll start from the local scene here, where the Nigerian Premier Football League entered into match day 9 at the weekend with some thrilling encounters across the weekend. We saw 6 games producing 5 home wins and 1 draw and 13 goals in the process. The attention of the week, match day 9, was at the Port Harcourt Stadium, Adoke Emesimeka Stadium, where 2 teams that have not lost so far after 8 games in the Premier League here in Nigeria were in action. Academy Warriors away to Rivers United that played at home. And it looks like Warriors didn't had to waste time because they scored first against Rivers United. Rivers United had to come back and lead into the first half to equalize, and we saw the next 45 minutes run through without a goal scored by either side. Finidi George believed that the team had their plans all worked out, and that's why it ended 1-1 for Rivers United and Academy Warriors. But Mike, I was in the stadium to watch that encounter. For over 50 minutes, Academy Warriors played with 1 man down.
And that is to tell you how dogged they are. Academy Warriors, they're actually a warrior indeed, because playing 1 man down for over 45 minutes or 15 minutes is not an easy feat in football, but they were able to hold their own, playing away from home and against a team that have been on fire so far this season, having not lost any game, topping the table out there. So you expect them to concede loads and loads of goals. Immediately they went down 1 man, but then they were able to hold their own, and that is to tell you how strong they are defensively so far this season. So I believe going forward, if they maintain this momentum, they might possibly be a title contender for this season.
Talking about 1-1 scoreline so far in the Premier League match day 9 here in Nigeria, we saw Katsina United play at the same scoreline with Niger Tornadoes. Katsina United dropping points at home.
Not a good one for Katsina United, but a good one for the improvement of the league, if you want to say, because gone are the days where the syndrome of winning at home at all costs, holds sway. Then it wasn't really, exciting for football followers, especially the NPFL followers. But now that we are beginning to see away wins, away draw, I think it's an improvement in the league. But for the home team, not a good result for them.
Talking about the home team that did not have a good result, it must be Better Insurance of Benin, because they played at home. They were beaten by 1-0 by no other than Abia Warriors, led by Mama Amapakabo. Insurance dropping all 3 points at home there for Abia Warriors to travel back to Moya with 3 points.
For me, Insurance didn't actually ensure anything good for their fans out there, because failing at home to Abia Warriors, I think it's not a good one. The fans that turned out in that very one, I saw some of them, complaining about the fact that it's been a very poor start for them out there. And for me, they need to also buckle up, because we still have a lot of games to come. And if you can't play convincingly at your own backyard, how much more are you traveling away? So I think Insurance should actually do everything possible to actually ensure 3 points for themselves in their next game.
There was drama at the Eyimba International Stadium in Aba at 90 minutes and a few minutes into other time. It was 1-1 between Eyimba and Ikorodu City. But with the last kick of the game, Eyimba did have that, just the last nod, that header that sent Ikorodu back to Lagos without any point at all. They were sure, they were almost sure of at least a point at the Eyimba International Stadium.
Yeah, very disappointing one it must be for Ikorodu United, who has been very impressive since they got all their 3 points at home. They traveled away, played a draw, and they went again further to pick another 3 points. It's been a massive one for them since they start gaining the momentum. And it looks as though they've actually discovered the magic or the tricks of what it takes to play in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Don't forget, as they were promoted in their first, second, third, fourth matches, they were not good at all. But then, when you look at though they've regained that momentum, coming away in a split of seconds where it seemed as though they were smiling home already with 1 point. They just had that dagger stabbed in their heart with that last-minute kick. It wasn't a good one for them. But for Eyimba, I think they needed all 3 points at least to keep up themselves with the pace of Rivers United and that of Remo Stars.
Going by results in the first week, 8 weeks of the league, no one would have expected that Highland FC will beat Remo Stars by 1-0 at the Dana Yam Stadium in Owerri.
Very surprising, very shocking for me. Heartland, one of the poor teams this season so far, where despite the change of coach, where a new man was brought in, to be the head of affair, and he said to be reporting to the governor directly. You expect a whole lot of changes compared to how they struggled last season and went down to relegation. If not for this lot of beyond limit that made them to stay afloat, I think I expect a lot of improvement from them, but we now haven't seen that this season. But then we want to say, yeah, it is a great one for them.
Nasarawa United peeped Kano Pillars by 1-0, and it looks like one of their star players, Musa, is not happy with the scoreline.
Yeah, it's not
and
really
the league as well.
Not really happy with the scoreline and the league and everything, and that is why, when he made his second missionary journey back home last time out, when he came back, he actually was very selective. He said that he wasn't going to play some of these away games. He played home games only. But this time around, he has promised to play all the games, and he's not pretty happy about the organization and some of the things, even some of the calls that didn't go their favor. But then you want to say there will always be a complaint from the losing side.
Talking about losing side at the weekend in the Premier League, Akwa United was one of them because Shooting Stars beat them by 2-1. But the maximum winners at the weekend in the Premier League here in Nigeria was Plateau United. They beat Sunshine Stars of Akure by 3 on-reply goals. What a journey that would be for Kennedy Boboye, coach of Sunshine Stars.
True, very good one. But for Sunshine Stars, I think the sun could not even shine against, for their favor rather. So it was a disappointing one for them. But for the 3 points for the teams, I think they truly deserve it because they played very well for that very game.
Well, now let's quickly go to Europe and see how matches were panned out in the Premiership in England first. And the biggest encounter we saw at the weekend was the match between Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal played at the Emirates Stadium with a lot of injury concerns. They had their problems compounded even further with their star defender Gabriel going off at the stage in that encounter that ended 2-2 at the Emirates Stadium. They had just 10 minutes to wrap up the game against Liverpool. But one man had a different idea, talking about Mo Salah, the Egyptian sensation that scored the equalizing goal at the Emirates Stadium. 2-2 ended, between Arsenal and Liverpool.
Yeah, and you must give Arsenal their flowers as well, because nobody gave them any chance at all heading into that game because of the injury worry. Their team were depleted because of the absence of Martin Odegaard, Calafiori, William Saliba, their wrong defense, because of that card. But then surprisingly, Bukayo Saka, makes a return after that injury concern, and even Julian Timber as well. So that gave them that strength in the squad. But then I tell you, it was a hard-fought, point for Liverpool. One man who has been very quiet throughout the course of the game, talking about Mohamed Salah, just popped up when it matters most to deliver. So for me, I think it was an exciting game. Both teams were very good, and I tell you, if Arsenal continue with this one till the return of their midfield maestro, talking about Martin Odegaard, you may want to say that Arsenal is still very much in the title chase so far this season.
While Arsenal dropped points at home, Manchester City didn't at all. They beat Southampton by 1-0. A scoreline that looks very un-City-like.
Yeah, they had to struggle in that very one, but then what matters at the end of it all was they were able to take all 3 points, which shoot them at top of the league as it is right now. And you know what it means whenever Manchester City take a hold or take a grip of the top spot, it is always very difficult. Let's hope that other teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa, maybe Chelsea will also continue to give Man City a run for their money till the final game of the season. Talking
about Chelsea reminds me that they were 2-1 winners over Newcastle. Chelsea gradually getting results that they need in the Premier League.
True. I think it's been an impressive one for Chelsea under Enzo Maresca, and for against Newcastle. In their last 12 games at the Stamford Bridge against Newcastle, Newcastle have just managed a win. In the last 12 games, the rest has been victory, victory, and victory for Chelsea. And for Chelsea, it looks as though they are that team that we need to watch out for this season. If not for the trophy, but then finishing among the top 4.
Crystal Palace beat their opponents, Tottenham Hotspur, by 1-0, and I'm sure a lot of people will have been surprised by that one. But I'm not too sure that a lot of people were surprised that West Ham beat Manchester United by 2-1. Were you surprised, Mike?
I'm very, very surprised. Surprised in the sense that West Ham, has lost to some of the big teams so far this season. West Ham lost 3-0 at home to Chelsea. West Ham lost to Manchester City. West Ham lost to Tottenham. West Ham lost to Liverpool. And against Manchester United, who, disappointingly drew their last Europa game against Fenerbahce, expectedly to win all this, to win the game against West Ham with 3 points. They have lots and lots of chances, especially in the first half. They had about 8 to 10 clean goal scoring opportunity, but they squandered all the opportunities. And West Ham came back into the game, took their time and took their chances when it came, and hurt Manchester United. And so the pressure continued to pile against Eric Ten Hag, whether he's going to stay or to leave. I tell you, it wasn't an impressive one. Out of the last 8 games for Manchester United, they've only managed to win 1. That is how bad the season is for Manchester United.
Well, let's cross over to the Spanish La Liga and look at some of the results of the matches that took out place at the weekend. And one match that will be of note is the Real Betis versus Atletico Madrid encounter. Real Betis played at home, beating Atletico Madrid by 1-0. And Atletico Madrid, we're wondering what happened in that fixture.
They were not just at their best, they missed their chances. 3 or 4 goal scoring opportunity, they failed to take the chances, and that is what happened in football. When you have your chances, you don't convert it. Your opponent just has one chance and you take it, and that buries the game out there. So it wasn't a good one for Atletico Madrid.
The attention was at the Real Madrid Stadium in Bernabeu in Spain, where Real Madrid was playing at home against FC Barcelona in an El Clasico fixture. I can't remember when we saw 4-0 bashing of Real Madrid inside their own stadium. All 4 goals coming in favor of FC Barcelona. Mike, this was a jam-packed stadium. In the first half, it looks like Real Madrid was going to tear FC Barcelona to shreds. But that's not a different idea. I saw, especially Lamine Yamal, score his very first El Clasico goal. That 3rd goal was a master blaster. I'm not too sure Madrid fans wanted that kind of a goal.
No, they never wanted that kind of a goal. And of course, they actually underrated his right foot, his weaker foot. But then he proved to be the very strongest foot for him on the 18-yard box of Madrid, as he slotted home seamlessly that one to make it 3-0. I think for me it was an impressive display. But then you also need to blame Real Madrid. They had their own chances, just like you said, especially in the first half. Kylian Mbappe had a glorious opportunity. He squandered it. Vinicius Jr. had another glorious opportunity, squandered it, and Barcelona just built that confidence from there to punish Barcelona with a massive display from the likes of Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Yami Lamar. It was a great victory. But then, don't also forget the last time Real Madrid lost 4-0 against Barcelona in the El Clasico, they went ahead to win the La Liga and the Champions League, which is what Carlo Ancelotti stated shortly after that game. So let's hope that whether that is going to repeat itself this time around.
Well, for man Lamine Yamal, that boy, I must say, 17 years of age, becoming the very first in nearly 77 years, yes, 77 years, to emerge as the youngest goal scorer at the Santiago Bernabeu in an El Clasico. 77-year-old record taken down there by Lamine Yamal of FC Barcelona. Let's bring you some more, maybe just one more results coming from. We'll take a look at the German Bundesliga. Bochum, wow, they were spelled out there completely by Bayern Munich. 5 goals unreplied by Bayern Munich. They think they took their anger of what happened to them against Barcelona against FC Bochum at the weekend in the German Bundesliga.
I guess that is what happened against Bochum, as they actually fell to the firepower of Bayern Munich, who were hurt over the midweek by their Champions League defeat. They suffered in the hands of Barcelona. I think they actually had to vent that anger on them, dismantling them 5-0, with Harry Kane once more on the score sheet. The man can't stop scoring, but the only thing that seems to be his problem right now is winning a trophy. Let's hope that Bayern Munich can actually win a trophy this season so that Harry Kane will have something to boast for.
Just before we wrap up the show, we can bring you one result coming from Italian Serie A, and that result was the 8-goal thriller we saw at Inter. Inter playing a 4-4 against their friends, I'd say neighbors, FC Juventus. Juventus 4, Inter Milan 4.
Juventus seems to be rejuvenated as it is right now in the Derby d'Italia, as it is called, just like El Clasico is called. This one is called Derby d'Italia. And for Juventus, you need to give it to them. Coming back after going down, to draw that game. Because see, from that brace, from that youngster who came up to make the difference out there, was a very well-deserved point for Juventus. And I tell you, I look as though Juventus may be the title contender this season with Inter Milan and Napoli as well, who are also doing pretty well. It's
congratulations to the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. They have qualified for the African Cup of Nations in 2025, courtesy of that 3-1 win over their counterparts from the Nigeria Republic.
What a way for them to respond. Don't forget, they actually went down 1-0 in the less than 7 minutes of that game. And it was very shocking to so many out there. Before the start of the game, people actually tipped Nigeria to dismantle them. But before you could say jack, 7 minutes, they're already down by a goal. But then the fighting spirit that enabled them to come back into that game and win 3-1 actually is a statement of intent. Maybe they are going to do better than that in the next game.
Well, congratulations to the Flying Eagles. That's where we have to take it off now. We'll be back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time. We'll bring you detailed results of all the matches that were played in the Professional Football League for Match Day 9. And of course, across Europe as well, the Italian Serie A, all of the results. Same for the Spanish La Liga, not forgetting the Premiership in England. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.